Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to our series, Contemporary Issues. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. In this series, or this segment of our series, we've been looking at criminal justice, the laws which Islam applies to crimes committed in the society. We looked at murder, the punishment. We looked at adultery, fornication, the punishment. We also looked at theft and the punishment. And we looked at homosexuality, lesbianism, etc., and the punishments. In this segment, we're going to be looking at apostasy. Apostasy, which is, again, an area which commonly in the West people hold this up and say, hey, what kind of religion is this? If you leave the religion, they kill you. The law of apostasy, where a person who apostates, who leaves the religion, is executed. Again, when we look at this issue, we have to look at it within the context of world history, the legal systems of both the West and the East, and the conditions under which the law is applied. First and foremost, since from the Western perspective, religion has no place to play in the legal system. A person is free to follow a religion or not follow a religion. It's not, there's no, law or whatever governing them. The idea of executing somebody for leaving their religion now seems quite absurd. However, we should keep in mind that when capital punishment for murder was abolished in England back in 1965, it was still retained for treason and piracy with violence. For treason and piracy with violence. And it was also the legal punishment for setting fire to Her Majesty's ships and dockyards, all the way up until 1971. If one set fire to the ships of the Queen, you could be executed, according to law. So, this principle exists. This principle of executing people, over issues of what may be called treason, exists in the West and exists in most countries. Where treason is considered to be rebellion against the state, state secrets are given to some other country at which that state is at war, etc., a person is executed for it. This is material information, worldly information. A person gives this information, treason, and so they're killed. You had a famous couple back in the United States who supposedly gave up information to the Russians about the atomic research, and the man and his wife were executed. Now, when we look in the from the Islamic perspective, what we find is that religion from the Islamic perspective is different from religion from a Western perspective. In Islam, the religion is the state. It's not separable. There's no separate state and religion. It's all one. The state is governed by the religious principles. So, rebellion against the state is rebellion against the religion. Apostasy or treason is against the religion and the state. They're all one and the same. So, apostasy represents a rejection of the law and the order of the society. And as such, it's considered like an act of treason. Now, a person who abandons the faith personally and leaves the country, the Islamic State is not going to send people out to hunt him down and kill him or her because they abandoned the faith. But it is really dealing with a situation within the state where people are openly rejecting the principles of the state and undermining the social Islamic system of the society as a whole. Yes, there is no compulsion in religion in Islam. Compulsion in the sense of joining Islam. There's a verse in the Quran, in the 3rd chapter of the Quran, where Allah says, sorry, it's not the third chapter, but the second chapter. La ikraha fi din. There is no compulsion in religion. That is, the person is not compelled to become a Muslim. But once a person becomes a Muslim, then they're obliged to stick with it, that this should be a serious and definite decision which was made. In fact, if we look at when the law of apostasy was first implemented, it was implemented during a period in Medina when there was a phenomenon which developed where some of the Jews of Medina were converting to Islam and then apostating in order to shake the faith of those who are already Muslims. They were doing this, playing with the religion. So the law of apostasy came in order to stop this confusion which the Jews were trying to create, those who converted to Islam, trying to create in the minds of the newly converted Muslims. So it meant you became a Muslim, you had to be serious, you had to be real. Otherwise, then you would be executed. So people were no longer allowed to play with the religion, create that confusion. Right? So that was how it was initially instituted. However, the principle remains, till the last day. The people within the state are obliged to stay within the religion if they are Muslims. If they accepted Islam, they have to remain Muslims. If they want to leave, then they need to leave the state altogether. And we could say that the death penalty for apostasy really is for those who cooperate with the enemies at war with the Muslim state, or those who gather people against Islam and to fight against the state. This is really the place for its application. The person who personally doesn't pray or whatever, in his home, whatever, nobody's going to come breaking into the home to see, are you praying or you're not praying, are you fasting, you're not fasting. The state doesn't do this, unless it becomes something open. So a person who personally, on an individual level, apostates and keeps it to himself or herself, then the state does not go and hunt them down. We don't have inquisition courts set up to track and test people's faith and this type of thing. And even when a person is caught, or a person openly makes these statements of apostasy, etc., then they're brought before court and asked to recant their statements, to take it back. If they recant and take it back, then they're not executed. So, as a final statement on this, in this regard, we could say that Western civilization will execute its citizens for giving away state secrets, something material. Islamic law will not execute people for that purpose. However, they will execute them for something which is far more serious: rebellion against God. That is a far greater sin or crime than rebellion against the state, against the individuals, human beings. So this is the way Islam looks at the issue of apostasy and the seriousness by which it takes it and applies the law with regards to it. And it's not for the state. Somebody in some country somewhere makes statements of apostasy, who may be Muslim. It's not for the state to now declare this person to be, his blood is permissible, offer rewards to go hunt this person down and kill them. No. The Islamic State is not to function in this way. If a person comes to them or is caught within them who is an apostate, then they're tried. There are courts of law. Their situation has to be looked into. They have to be questioned, and they have the right to defend themselves.